Yeah.
They work big time.
Your eyes look real blue today. Your eyes been that blue?
They've always been blue.
Oh, fair.
Well, it depends on the day, really. Some days are ultra green, some days are gray, some days are just ultra blue. I kind of have that hazel effect going on.
You get the lizard person.
The lizard person.
Are you a lizard person?
Skinwalker,
Are you
bro.
a skinwalker?
I'm a
Kind of
skinwalker,
scaring me.
bro.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about this. I think you brought it up, and it was actually quite a good idea because I've wanted to talk about this just because this is something I've been implementing in my life as of recent, as I've kind of found the courage to do this, and it's sticking up for yourself or speaking the truth or not backing down from an intense conversation. Because the facet of the old self, the old idea of myself, I would never do it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm afraid of conflict.
Yep.
And there's people out there that are afraid of conflict.
Conflict or confrontation.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is one thing I was actually pretty excited to talk about because doing it in your day-to-day life,
Yeah.
it gets exciting. Like, it's something I look forward to is almost sticking up for the opinion that I have
Yeah.
and the truth.
Defending your ideas.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I like having debates. I like having talks, and that's one thing that we're having today is a debate and a talk about men speaking the truth and sticking up for themselves.
Yep.
So I guess the one thing that I wanted to say, and we'll start off with this, does it become a necessity to stick up as a man? As the man figure, as the boss figure, if you want to put it that way, does it become a necessity to stick up for yourself and the opinions you have, if pressed?
Yes, I believe that, as a guy speaking for myself, and also I'm speaking for almost every guy out there, as a person who this may come across as crass, this may come across as opinionated,
Right.
or we'll just say that. The people who can make real change in this world, not saying that women can't do it, but there's a reason why women need men's support on all their ideas.
Of course, and a man needs a woman's support. It goes both ways before.
It goes both ways, but I'm just going to put this on average. All the revolutions started because a group of men put their foot down and said no.
Yep.
And the only reason I say that as a man you need to defend your idea is because in discourse or in any sort of confrontation or any sort of conflict that you might be into, whether it's you're discussing an idea with somebody else or you're defending your idea against somebody else, the only thing that is absolutely certain that we can say that at the end of discourse could possibly happen, and the only way to defend your idea ultimately, other than words, is physical altercation. And not saying that women can't get into physical altercations, but
it's different fighting.
If you're going to be defending your idea, the only people that get to defend their idea and win and keep that idea alive are the people that win that altercation.
Yep.
Whether it be emotional, verbal, or if it comes down to it, physical altercation. Yeah. Because you get into an argument with somebody, and I forget what podcast. I'll have to search it back. Maybe I'll try and send you the link tonight. But there's a reason why men's discourse and men's conversations, even between strangers and between friends, and I've seen this myself, and I've realized this myself in certain times when I know I'm not the bigger fish, is that I need to keep this civil and I need to keep this respectful.
Well, it's funny, Andrew. Didn't Andrew Tate say that there's always that initial looking at a man and thinking that I can beat him?
Can I fight this guy? And
there is.
Listen,
I hate to say it. I don't like judging people.
No.
If a man walks down the street, I'm going to I'm going to assess what situation.
Assessment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I need to defend myself against this man?
Absolutely.
And if I have to, can I?
Yeah.
And if you look to yourself and objectively think, no, if it ever came to this, I would not be able to defend myself against this man, you got to keep it civil and respectful.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the only thing that keeps men, because I've witnessed on my own account females arguing.
Yeah.
And I've also witnessed and been in arguments with myself, with other men. And the only thing that keeps us men civil towards each other is the imminent fact that if things get out of hand or if things escalate, it will be hands.
Well, it's very...
At the end of the day.
It's funny, because I wanted to talk about what you said earlier about how women don't really resort to using physical violence, because... No. It's true, because what happens is, Jordan Peterson said this really well, actually.
Yes, I think that's where I saw it.
It's more of a psychological battle.
Yes, they go
think about it in high school, though.
Yep.
It was never a physical altercation. While there was some, and I'm not discrediting the women that have hands, because some women have hands. I've seen women fight before. But behind the back doing stuff on
Gossiping
Instagram
and
or
character
Facebook,
degradation.
really trying to play a mental game and saying
Yep.
that I'm better than you or you have this wrong with you.
Yep.
And with men, it's not that. It's let's fight, let's get over
It's
it, let's
like, oh,
move
you
on.
want to go there? Then let's go outside
Yeah.
and settle it. And,
Yeah.
you know, 90% of the time after you go outside and fight with a guy,
Yeah.
you're helping each other up, shaking hands, unless it's under real malicious
Yeah,
intent.
there is some pretty good beef out there.
Like I've been in a few, and like when you're done, you respect each other more
Yeah.
for having the balls to get up in front of each other and trade blows. Like, and they're to me, like even like.
But you're sticking up for your opinion.
Sticking up for your opinion,
Yep.
and whether or not you're right or wrong,
It's a noble fight.
It's a noble fight, and to keep things noble and respectful, you also understand that having mercy and having understanding is also a huge part of being a guy, because not saying that we are destroyers, but we have the capacity to destroy a lot of things.
Conquering tendencies.
Yes, and that's just a part of our evolution. But the sign of a real warrior is to show mercy when you don't have to.
Yeah.
And I forget, I think it was either Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Yep.
I believe he talked about that in the Art of War.
Okay.
And something about a samurai knowing when to keep the sword sheathed.
You're right.
And I'll have to see if I can't find that quote too, because Sun Tzu there's a lot of great quotes out of the Art of War book.
I've actually never read it.
I haven't read it. I've only read,
The brief descriptions.
blips and blurbs,
yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as a guy, if you don't stick up and defend your ideas that you inherently believe to be true, regardless if you're right or not, that's part of your.
Yep.
That's part of being a respectful man. You have to self-respect yourself in order to have enough respect to stand up for what you believe in. Because if not, you're just a pushover, and you're, in lack of better words, you're a sheep. You're going to do whatever is told and whatever is suggested for you. Whereas that suggestion that is being provided to you very well could be wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're not brave enough and have enough self-respect to stand up and say, no, I don't agree with this, nothing's ever going to change.
Well, let's say this, because this could be speaking to somebody out there right now. Say, for instance, you're 16, 17, 18 years old. You have your opinions. You're being pressed about your opinions, but you don't have the courage to stand up. You don't have the courage to say anything. You don't know. Maybe you're not a fighter. Maybe you're not somebody who wants to go out there and have a physical altercation, because there are people out there that don't want to have those fights. Yeah. How would you go about having an opinion and saying what you wanted to say without that physical recourse? Could you do it?
I would say you could do it, but I would say if you can't weaponize yourself, you have to weaponize your words.
Right.
You would have to be, if you're not
be a little bit methodical to it.
A little bit more methodical, and at that point in time, if you're not willing to, not saying that every argument or every discussion is going to end in blows, because nowadays especially not, because you get in way too much trouble.
Yeah.
But, and that also brings to the point where you have to be smarter with your words and also know your audience.
Well, and the thing is, too, with knowing the audience, because I do like that, it's knowing who you're going up against as well.
Yes.
Because some people are willing to just, they've already had the thought that I'm going to chuck hands regardless of what happens here.
Yep.
And how do you go about navigating that torrential terrain?
It's tough, because if I think I can anyway, I can get the gist of somebody, and based off their mannerisms and their attitude towards me, if they're immediately jumping to conflict, because you can have discourse and then you can have conflict. And a lot of the times conflicts start in discourse. And you can usually get the gist of somebody's energy or their demeanor
right away.
Oh yeah. Like it just based off of like their body language, like different things that, you pick up on over the years after seeing a vast majority of different people and how they like to express themselves and how they carry their character, how they portray their character. I've met a lot of people who are like very, very, very dry, like their tone sounds very angry. Yeah. They come across as very like stern, very like direct. But the last thing that they would ever want to do is fight you. But the way that they're coming across is that they're angry at you. Or like, hey, I'm going to argue with you to tooth and nail.
Because some people don't get it.
Because some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
But then there's also the people that are very soft-spoken and very reserved and very, like, don't really want to have conflict, but they're the first people that'll jump up.
It's almost like the old age Mike Tyson and the new age Mike Tyson. 100%, right? It's that new age Mike Tyson. You look at him, he wouldn't hurt a fly as to what the persona's been put out there. I don't know what's behind the scenes. Like, not saying that there is, but what I'm saying is what we see. Tyson. But he doesn't want to bring that beast back.
No,
right?
and like he was talking about the Roy Jones Jr. fight, how that's what really kind of sparked his interest back into boxing and back into training, because for years he wasn't doing any of it. And anytime he would train, I might be misquoting him a little bit, but he'd say it would there just wasn't that, he couldn't bring himself to compete anymore because he didn't have that fighting fire inside of him.
Yeah, it wasn't a burning desire.
He didn't have that urge to go out and fight anybody. But when he was training for that Roy Jones Jr. fight a couple of years ago, he goes, when I started training, he goes, that brought the beast back out.
Yeah, he was a bit scared of it, wasn't he?
He was scared of it. But the being scared for him is what propels him to do great things, because he's too scared of failing, that he overdrives into success.
There's a beautiful verse that Mike Tyson has that replays over and over in my mind, and we will get back to this, but I wanted to share it. It's when he goes, as it gets closer, I'm less afraid. I'm afraid this man the whole time. I'm afraid he's going to beat me. I'm afraid he's going to kill me. I'm afraid he's going to shame me. And as I get closer to the ring, I become less afraid. And when I get in the ring, I'm a god. That's a bit little. Like it's so good. It's so intense.
Yeah, he goes, as soon as I step in that ring, I'm a god, and no one can hurt me.
So intense.
Yeah,
so good.
But listening to Mike talk is so. I enjoy listening to him talk so much because you can tell he's speaking right from his heart.
Yeah.
Like, there is no sugarcoating, no nothing. Like, I can't remember the name of the guy, but it was an interview, and he says, if you could change one thing...
I did end up seeing that later,
If there was one thing that you could change about yourself that you wish people could understand more, what would it be? And he goes, nothing. He goes, nothing? Really? He goes, yeah, nothing. Fuck you.
So good. It's so good.
But it's a very crass way of saying it, but... he's basically saying that I don't care if you understand me.
Yeah.
Your opinion doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters is how I view myself.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm portraying myself in the way that I wish to portray myself, and for him it's a good person, which it should be for everybody. Nobody else's opinion matters.
Yeah.
If you know inherently that what you're doing and how you're acting is the way you should be acting and the way you want to act, and you're getting the outcome and the results that you wish to see, then it truly doesn't matter what anybody else has to say or has to think, or even if they misunderstand your purpose. It really doesn't matter. Because like if it did, then you would be close to him and you would understand.
Absolutely. Now, bringing this back onto it, we're going to put this in a frame because I want to get your opinion on this. Okay. David versus Goliath without the backing of God. You're David in the situation versus Goliath. You do not have the backing of God. How does one stand up for themselves? In that situation, where let's put it in literal terms this way, you're going into the ring with Mike Tyson, but it's an altercation, it's a verbal altercation. How do you stick up for yourself in that situation where you know you're going up somebody, or you know you're going up against somebody
when the odds are stacked against you?
Exactly. When you know, like, how do you have the courage to stand up for yourself in a situation like that? Well,
in a situation like that, the only thing that comes to mind to me is...
like your professor said something wrong. And now you have to press your professor who has more years of experience. But it's something people can relate to. How do you say that that's wrong, actually?
The way it's... So the part of saying that's wrong is the easy part.
Right.
The courage to actually get the words out of your mouth is the hard part. And a lot of people struggle with the reasoning, or struggle with the desire, or struggle with a purpose why I should even do it to begin with. Do you want a towel?
I'm good. I got my hoodie.
And to me, in my mind, it's like, say I'm going up against a professor and I got something wrong, and you know that you have the right answer. Yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit of an argument or a little bit of a confrontation because the professor doesn't want to be seen as wrong.
Well, and everybody's a little bit delusional because everyone thinks they're right.
Right. Especially when they wholeheartedly believe that they're right, even though they may be wrong. And to no fault of their own, but when I look at it in that sort of circumstance, or even in the David versus Goliath, if I'm going up against a Goliath and I don't have, I mean, David had God
the backing of Christ.
But even if I didn't have that, what's the other alternative?
Yeah.
So I look at it and I try and break everything down into one or two choices. You have one or two paths.
Yeah.
And it's either you stand up and you do the right thing, or you do nothing and you ultimately lose. He goes, you might not win if you stand up and fight back. Or, David versus Goliath, you stand up and fight, you very well might not win.
Yeah.
You go up and challenge your professor, you very well might not get through to him and show him that he was wrong.
Yep.
He might just shut you down in front of the whole class, and that might be it. But trying to win is a hell of a lot better than just giving up and accepting
and not
failure.
doing anything about it.
What's your other choice? If you don't do that, what's the other choice? You're going to do nothing, and you're going to lose. So you can either sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to lose, and I'm going to do nothing, or you can say, I might lose, but I'm going to go down swinging.
Yep.
I'm going to try. Because, like, what other choice do you have? And we could put that perspective or mentality into any sort of or anything in everyday life. It's like, what if you don't? What's the option?
Let me ask you this: how much does it impact you when you stick up for something when you know you have the backing of Christ?
Well, I have the backing of Christ every day.
Yeah,
that I walk.
But how much does that affect you when you go and press somebody about their opinion? When somebody comes at you and they have something to say, maybe it's about Christ and Christ isn't real, or maybe it's about you and you know it's not true. Do you find that there's a stronger backing when you're in Christ, when you have somebody who's actually willing to help you in that situation?
Well, yeah. I mean, ever since I've gotten back into my religious roots and like really pretty much gave myself to Jesus, my confidence has shot through the roof. Like,
right.
Not so much, I guess it would be confidence because the fear is kind of gone. All the normal fear and all the worry, anxiety that I would get from, a situation, thinking about things. Most of it is leading up to it. And then as soon as you jump in the deep end, it's like, oh, this isn't even that deep.
Well, you know who says that is Alex Hormozy's girlfriend. I'm pretty sure her wife or whatever her name is. She says fear is, what does she say? It looks like you're jumping off into the deep end, but it's only an inch deep.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. A mile wide and an inch deep is exactly what she says.
A mile wide and an inch deep. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, but that's the perfect way to explain it, because there's a lot of things that I mean, I can't give you certain examples, but knowing that you have someone as all-powerful and all-knowing as God himself at your side, holding you up when you fall down, having someone to lean on, having someone you can trust at all times, no matter what, he's looking out for your best interest and helping you walk on the correct path to where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
It takes away, when you truly believe in that, there is no other feeling than, yes, I can do this. There is no other option in your mind when you truly believe that someone as all powerful as the Creator himself has your back. There almost is no fear aspect, because the fear just gets neglected out of the situation. Because, like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you do it with Christ, you will feel fulfilled no matter what. Even if you fail the first time, you won't be scared to try again.
Absolutely.
And, like, knowing that even if like someone's arguing against it, and like there's probably people gonna watch this and be like, these two religious nuts, like, oh, they've been brainwashed, they're only 23 years old, and they're, whatever, that's your belief. But
I'll stand on my belief too. We'll argue.
I'm going to stand on mine. And the way that I look at it is, it's like, is it a shame that other people can't view this beautiful religion as the way we do? Yes, it is an ultimate shame, because, what's the guy, Cliff?
I know who you're talking. I don't know his last name. I don't know how to pronounce
New Mexico. I love that guy. I love seeing his clips.
Cliff and his son.
But he goes, if I knew the way to everlasting life, how much do you think I would have to hate you for me not to tell you how to get there?
Yeah, he said that. I think he said that was a comedian that said that too. Like his final line.
I think so. But it's like, even though some people, like, I have friends that don't believe in this, and like, I don't pressure them. I don't force them. I don't force my beliefs on anyone.
It's like a vegan forcing veganism on you.
Yeah, it's like, it's
kind of
like,
gets annoying after a while.
Yeah, it's your own belief. Yeah. Like, you don't have to believe what I believe, but it's an awful sin for me to know that this is the way and to not show that way to other people.
It's funny that you say that, because it says in the Bible, and this is what I do. It says, if you acknowledge me in front of other people, I'll acknowledge you in front of the Father.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I forget what Bible verse that is.
I don't know, but I got the Bible in my bag.
I got mine right over there.
Here we go. Now, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
You're going back to when you're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Sure.
Whenever you stuck up for yourself for the first time, how did you cope with the idea that there might be a bit of repercussion? Were you thinking that, holy crap, I just said something, now I'm going to start a fight? Or, you know what, I'm glad I said something? Because I find there's always two people. There's always people that say that they're scared after the fact that they stuck up for themselves because their mind's running and thinking, well, what's the professor going to think of me? Now, what is this girl that saw the fight going to think about me? Or there's the person's thinking that I'm the man, I'm the man. So would you have a mindset of a certain idea when you stuck up for yourselves?
I've never been one to really think about consequences.
Right.
Because
it was just do it and that was it.
I've always been kind of rooted in the mind thought of if it's right, do it.
Right.
Like, no matter what it is, worry about the consequences later. If what you're doing is right, don't hesitate. And I kind of don't really think beforehand of what might come after. You know, that's probably an area of my life that I probably should.
No, but I think it's fine though. You just have to do it. This is what I tell people. Just do it. If I believe it's
right, I don't care what the repercussions are afterwards, because even if it's the worst thing, even if what I did was right and it ended up hurting me, I will sleep good at night knowing that the situation I'm in is because I did what's right.
Yeah.
I cannot sit there and be in a good situation knowing I did something wrong.
And then if you didn't do the thing, you'd be sitting up at night going, why didn't I do
Why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
And even if it means the difference of having a luxurious job and not having a luxurious job, maybe you're a whistleblower on your supervisor and you lose your job. Not saying that's right, but it's a very...
Look at Boeing.
Yeah, it happened. Boeing. It's a very real thing, and I'm sure a lot of people in this world have had to deal with that before. Yeah. Like,
where you see your manager doing something they shouldn't do, or yeah,
and it's like, yeah, you might get some repercussions because of it. Like, you're not saying it's right, but say you go above your manager's head and kind of blow the whistle on them doing some improper things, and then the manager gets in trouble, and in retaliation, he makes your life at work absolute hell. Crap.
Excuse my language. Yeah,
but I would much rather have worse days at work knowing I did what was right for myself and for other people.
Yep.
Because the way I view society and the way I view how I should be treating other people is, if I have the courage and I have the ability to stand up for what's right and it's going to benefit me and people around me, it's a greater sin to know I can make that change or do what is right, but choose not to.
I have a question for you.
What?
What advice would you give to, I'm not saying your younger self because we're still young, what advice would you give to someone who's a bit older, 40, 50, about their mentality about sticking up for themselves? Do you think people need to be a bit more open-minded? Do you think people need to stop sticking up for themselves? Do you think people start sticking up for themselves?
Especially in the world we live in today, I think people need to stand on business. Stick 10 toes down. Like, because look at the way that the world's going. Like, the way that the media and the government and organizations just blatantly put out garbage, and people just soak that up without even critically thinking about, hey, is this right or wrong?
Yeah.
Like, not saying any party is righter or wronger than the other. Like, that's not what the channel's about. No. We're not a political
views are not being shared here.
No, I'm just saying in general, like, if you think that the government tells you the truth all the time, I'm sorry to inform you, they lie a lot.
And so do we.
And so do we.
Yeah.
And I try not to.
Well, you get what we're trying to say here. We're not perfect.
It's human nature to lie. It's human nature to sin. And if more people, because I know a lot of people out there, especially in this day and age, they have a lot of beliefs in themselves, but they're too scared to say it because of the repercussions that will come from it.
Absolutely.
But the more we stand up for ourselves, and the more we stand up for what is right and for what we know is right,
absolutely,
the more things are going to change. Because the only reason why we're still in like the world's mess that we are in today is because people will not get together and stand up and say, this is wrong.
Yep.
I don't believe in this.
Where's the farthest you would take standing up? Would you die for standing up?
If the cause was right, I'd die.
100%.
I'd die for Christ.
It's a good one. I like that.
Who else is worth sacrificing my life for?
Yeah. That's a good one. I do enjoy that.
But it's like, but at the end of the day, historically speaking, if men weren't willing to die for what they believe in, nothing ever in history would have ever changed.
No, 100%.
Like there would have been no revolutions.
Yeah, there'd be no armies right now. People are led to believe that a certain country's right for whatever reason it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're brainwashed because that'd be unfair of me to say. It's just the right term, and I like using this term. But they're brainwashed into thinking that their country's right over other countries. Not saying a country's right over another country, but that's what the whole thing is. You're willing to die for your country because you want to stand up for your country and you want to stick up for your
like
country.
for example, if we got invaded by an enemy,
Sure.
I'd die defending my country. I would.
Now let me ask you this: would you die defending your country? Or would you die defending your leader?
I'd die defending my country.
Okay, that's different. Because I feel like the two are entangled, where it's I die defending my country.
They're a little bit entangled, but the leader of our country isn't the whole country. Because if the leader gets taken out, we have another one tomorrow.
So you're saying you die for the people and the things in the country, not the leader.
I die for the people and what we stand for, not for the person who runs it.
Okay.
That's like for saying I would not go to Ukraine and fight in the Ukraine war.
No.
I absolutely would not support that. I would not go to Israel and fight for Israel. I would not support any of that unnecessary entanglement in other people's foreign affairs. We do not need to be doing that.
I 100% agree with you.
And to voluntarily go out and offer my life up for a cause that does not benefit us.
Yeah.
As a citizen, as a society, as a country's mass population, it does not benefit us at all. Clearly, we're in a worse spot now than we were 3 years ago. And there's only, just be damn sure what you're standing up for is what you believe in.
Do you think there's a clear...
And make sure it's your idea.
Between people and people, do you think there's a clear idea of misunderstanding? Do you think people are not hearing themselves or hearing each other out?
I would say.
Yeah.
Especially, people are so quick to jump down each other's throats.
Yeah.
And I think a big reason for that is because we as a society, we don't go out and have public discourse in person much anymore.
No, it's all online.
Of course, we still do when you go to the grocery store, but the way we socialize and the way we talk to each other is majorly different than what it was even when we were kids.
Yeah.
Even when I was in elementary and junior high, if I wanted to
we were on the tail end.
Yeah, we're the last. I say we're the last good generation before technology.
Yeah.
Because I grew up without an iPad in my hand. I grew up with no, if I wanted to use technology, I had to go on the PC downstairs and I get an hour and a half.
Well, but we were still we still grew up without the luxury, but the luxury was there. We're not saying that we're singled out.
But most of my fun as a kid, even until I was 13, 14, was going out and riding bikes and building jumps and
playing on them big green electric boxes.
Yeah, going out and walking around Sheet Harbor and 7, 8, 9 of us in a big group just fooling around,
kicking it.
Even 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, growing up, I'd be in the woods all the time. Find a stick. Yep. Look at this samurai sword. Find a stick. Look at this AR-15.
Absolutely.